I think for me, when I was on, we were just at the cusp of social media becoming the breakout that it was. Um, it's a lot. It's a whole nother job just to get. And the show has changed a lot. I haven't watched it. I stopped watching once I left. But everybody loves to keep you informed. So, but I think the show has changed a lot. But that's okay. You can't. You have to evolve. And if part of the recipe changes, you have to evolve and make a new recipe. So I think they finally found their their footing after a few years, it
Well,
seems.
I know that everyone does keep you involved. I know your family is thick as thieves, but we have, Teresa and Melissa, they're still, not getting along. I mean, at this point, is it, do you have any advice for them? I mean, they still can't seem to get on the same page 10 years later.
Sometimes you have to know when to just walk away and call it a day. Some things cannot be fixed, right? So you can try and try and try, and if they don't want to be fixed, they're not going to be fixed. So walk away and maybe come back to the table when you're a little older and a little more mature. Who knows? But sometimes you just need to walk away to save the situation.
I mean, well, Teresa says that she's truly done with Melissa. I mean, do you believe that at this point?
It's very hard to say when you're family because you're always part of each other's world, right? So you have to decide, at some point, uh, whether it's going to be a forever decision or a right now decision. So maybe it's the right thing for them to do right now, to just walk away and cool their jets a little bit and see where you land when you come back. And when it's when all the smoke is clear, obviously you see things clearly. So maybe the smoke needs to clear so they both have clarity in what the situation is. Maybe that just needs time away from it all.
I think that's good advice. Well, you were there the first season. The first season was all about, Danielle and this book. And then at the end, we have Teresa with the iconic table flip. I mean, you were sitting there. You're one of the few people that was actually sitting there. I mean, what was going through your mind when this was actually happening? Were you scared? Were you shocked?
I was in disbelief. I have a nervous laugh. So if you were to go back at that, you'll see me that I'm laughing at the table because I couldn't believe what was happening. Again, any kind of major any kind of major conflict or anything I've ever had in my life was on this show. So that was one of the first signs of, uh-oh, is this what this is going to become? So you can't believe what's happening. You can't believe what she just did. The kids are all, you're worried about the kids because they were young at the time. So there was so much going through my mind. And I think I just decided, okay, just go with it and see where it takes you. But at the same time, never believing for a minute it would turn into what it did.
Were you like, did you have regrets at that point? Like, did it ever go into your mind, like, if this is what this show is, like, I think I might walk away?
Um, I thought that no, because I didn't think it would happen again. Like one time thing done, finished. Because again, we were just brand new into it, not knowing, we were wet behind the ears. We didn't know what to expect. So I think every time something happened, it'd be okay. Won't happen again. It'll be the last time. But I think that her flipping that table set the tone for reality TV as we know it now.
Do you
So
think it kind of gave like housewives a license to act a fool, so to speak?
I do. I do, because look at it, we're still talking about it how many years later, right? It was clearly, you can't take away, it was an iconic moment in reality TV history that she created, for sure.
And then everyone goes into the other room and they want to have drinks or martinis or whatever it was, like it never happened.
That was wild. I remember standing there, and that room was a wreck, and I felt so badly for the owners of the restaurant, and kind of in shock. And then let's go have a drink. And I remember standing there like, this is insanity. Like, how do you turn it off so quickly? But we did. We just went and had drinks. That
Were
was it.
you were you ever embarrassed like to be a part of this show, and I'm not trying to throw shade at like Teresa, but when there is this table flip or other things that happen, like you said, you thought it would only happen once. Like, were you ever embarrassed to be like associated with this, thinking that you were kind of getting into something and it wouldn't happen again?
It's funny. People often say, "Oh, you're a snob. You're above it all." No, it's just a matter of behaving properly. When you're out in public or wherever, just behaving properly. So, sure, there are a lot of embarrassing moments. Sure, there are a lot of times that I didn't want to be associated with. But then there are some moments that you do really spectacular things, and you could be someone that teaches. When you talk about you know, all the struggles that have been put out on reality television over the years. I would like to use the positive, you know, where you talk about Jacqueline with a child with autism, or you talk about infidelity, or talking about struggling in business and weight and stuff like that, you know, to change the narrative and make it a positive thing instead of a negative thing would be wonderful. So, you know, once in a while they do something that you say, well, all right, good for you. But, you know, it is what it is. That's what it is now. So,
Absolutely. There's been so much talk lately about Melissa and you, and, you know, she said, you know, you were too old at the time, or, you know, where are you with like Melissa and Joe? I mean, are you guys copacetic?
listen, she said it. I was there when she said it. And, you know, at the time it bothered me. Um, but looking back on it now, it's so foolish because she was a kid. She was like 30 years old. I'm like 50 years old. She had a point to a degree, right? So, but when I see them, it's like I've never lost an hour of time with them. We just go right back to where we were. We don't hang in the same circles again. I'm a lot older. We have we're at different points in our world. But whenever I'm with them, I have a good time. I have no problems with any of them.
What about, you posted this picture of you and your brother Jamie, and Melissa said, you know, love him. And he said, you know, you don't call, you don't write. The fans took that and ran with it, of like Melissa, you know, trying to kiss up to you to stay in your good graces.
Nobody's got to stay in my good graces. I don't know what that's. It's insanity to think that. And nobody's got to kiss up to me either, because I'll see right through it. All right. So I do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, when it comes to this life with television and everything else. So there's going to be no tipping point uh, from anybody to make me decide whether I'm going to stay or go, whose friend I'm going to be or not. Because when you get to this age in life, you're like, no, you march to the beat of your own drum. So I don't. There's no agenda. Like I said, we saw them at BravoCon. We had a great time. We had a lot of laughs. There's no underlying anything. Just, guys, if I like a photo, I like a photo because I like the photo. So why don't we just take it at the face value that it is? She liked the photo, and we don't need the drama. We just don't need it. It's a little nuts.
Everyone's reading way too much into a lot of things, right?
Nuts. It really is. So
It is nuts. Well, I mean, I think the argument is that, you know, Melissa kind of wants you to come back on the show because, you know, she thinks, and a lot of people think, you're the one person that could kind of stand up to Teresa, and if you were on the show and put her in her place, so to speak.
mhm. No, listen, that's been said to me a lot of times. When we went to BravoCon, they said point blank, come back on the show. So there's no